Hi, everyone. Welcome to Building Foundations with Sherry and
Katie.
Very good. Today we are excited. We are at a Dr. Horton model, and we are going to have videos of Dr. Horton. And we also have a Dr. Horton community of Brightwater with the Shores. Today we are in Northport with Steve Crow. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Steve.
Good to be here.
Yes, very good. So kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your experience in new home sales, real estate, and then add something fun. We always like, Katie and I love fun. So we want to know something fun about you.
Okay, well, it all started, I spent a lot of time early in life in construction, building and tearing things down. Went into real estate in the Seattle area about 10 years ago. That led us to the big move to Florida, and then got into new construction here. I spent a couple of years with another builder, came on to Dr. Horton, year and a half ago now, and the rest is history. As far as something fun. Well, what I like to do most of the time is hang out with my family. We like to travel. We like to spend a lot of time in Mexico. So I would probably say the funnest thing is getting on an airplane and heading for Cancun.
Very nice. Fun.
Well, we're in this beautiful model, the Cali model. Can you tell us a little bit about, is this come this way? Things, how does Dr. Horton work here up in Northport?
Okay. The Cali floor plan, just under 1,900 square foot. It is we call it a 3-2 with a den. The den has a closet, so legally it is a bedroom, so it is a 4-2. It's probably the most popular floor plan that Dr. Horton sells in this area. In fact, probably nationwide.
And you said that's the Cali, right?
Yes, the Cali floor plan. It comes with, of course, carpeting in the bedroom, tile throughout, quartz countertops, kitchen and bath, undermount sinks now, tile walls in the master shower. And like I said, it's in this area, especially with people coming in from out of state, it's hands down our most popular floor plan.
Very good.
Does it come with impact windows or shutters? Because I know that's always a question people have.
It comes with the 2-pane vinyl-filled, gas-filled windows, and it comes with impact shutters.
Impact shutters. So the other thing that I wanted to ask you, because I've had this question, when we come into your models, you don't have the wood, the textures, the shiplap, like some of the other models do. And we've learned through that a lot of those models are considered upgrades, right? So tell me, we don't see that here. So sometimes your models might not be as wow as some as the other ones.
With the exception of a couple of areas within the house where you'll see two-tone paint, what you see is kind of what you get. And the main reason for that is with COVID and the hurricane and other things that happened, build times got stretched out to some points up to 24 months. So as a general rule, when a house goes onto our sheet to sell, it's within 6 to 7 months. By that time, everything for that house has already been purchased. So there's really not an opportunity to upgrade. And it allows us to keep that price point down to the affordability point.
That makes sense.
And I also like the fact that, because I've had it, customers walk into a model and they're like, wowed. And then there's extra money for coral crown molding or the shiplap on the ceilings or on the walls. Well, they don't do that. You have to hire someone after the fact. So one thing I like about visiting these models are what you see is what you get. Like if you fall enough, it gives you the staging, but not kind of those extras that you're either going to have to pay for during build or you're going to have to pay for after build.
Right. And I know, so I'm not as familiar with Northport 100%, more Cape Coral is my backyard. However, I do sell in Northport and I know Sherry does too.
Yep.
Can you explain for those that are not as familiar, the city water, sewer, septic, how does that work up here?
Okay, here in Northport, basically what it comes down to is if you're purchasing a lot that's close to a main thoroughfare, you're going to be septic, but you're going to be on city water. As you purchase lots that are further away from a main thoroughfare, you're probably going to be well and septic. We have both.
Okay.
Now, also, there's some very rural lots still here in Northport that don't even have electric poles ran to them. Isn't that correct? Like some of the more, out there, but they're still residential lots.
Correct.
So if you're driving around looking for lots, but they want to make sure that there's poles close. But you guys, do you have a list of lots? How does that work? Like, do I have to go find my lot and then pick the model? How does that work when we're building with you?
The step-by-step process with us is the first thing you would do is you would get with your realtor. You would talk about what's important to you, what's not important to you, the deal killers, how close to I-75 do you need to be? How close to a particular school do you need to be? Put your realtor to work, let them do the homework. They'll come up with a specific list of houses that fit what you need, the area you want, and the price point you want. Now it's time to go look. The biggest key to think about when you're doing all of that is you pull up to a vacant lot or a lot where there's a slab. I encourage everybody the same thing. Don't drive by. Stop, get out of your car, go stand in the middle of the lot and listen to your neighborhood. There is something about it. It works. It will save you a lot of work over the period of time.
I also suggest to do that at different points of times of the day.
Yes.
Like maybe if there's a school nearby, you want to do it when school takes up or lets out, or 5 o'clock rush hour traffic. So
Most definitely. And two, the funny part is, and I've noticed walking, even knowing your floor plans pretty well, because I've worked with them for a long time. You guys have been around. Walking a vacant one without furniture, almost done, and then walking one at frame versus just block, they all feel so different. So it's a good thing to see. I love walking through and seeing how they're all built and through the different stages. But I do really like to bring a customer in to let them see this is what it looks like at the final and what paint and some of the finishes can do.
So just to clarify, is if they're walking past and they see it in the middle of production and they don't have a realtor with them, or they don't have someone from Dr. Horton with them, do you still suggest that they get out and walk the property?
Absolutely not.
There you go.
And here's why. Here's the ugly reason why. If you are a subcontractor and you're on site, and all of a sudden strangers are walking around that job site, you have no idea, is that stranger somebody that can write me a ticket because I don't have the right this on, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that? So as a general rule, what happens if you're a subcontractor and strangers are walking around your job site, you stop working. And if they hang around long enough, you leave. That really hurts the whole building process. Because remember, if that house is under construction, there's a family that's probably already under contract on that house, and they would thank you profusely for not slowing down the job.
Right. Yeah, just wanted to make sure, and safety, because a lot of times it is considered trespassing because you own the house and the lot. If a neighbor sees you, they could easily call the cops because they don't know. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that. So so tell us, what is it about Dr. Horton? You've worked with other production builders. What is it about Dr. Horton that would always put Dr. Horton in like the top 1 to 2 to 3 builders that you would suggest to our clients?
First off, Dr. Horton is the largest builder in the United States. And with that comes a couple of bonuses. And we all just experienced over the last 2 years at various times in construction with COVID and the shipping issues, where all of a sudden those cabinets you thought you were getting aren't there anymore, or the flooring you thought you was getting isn't there anymore. When you're a builder the size of Dr. Horton, you don't run into those issues. We build in excess of 80,000 homes a year nationwide. So we have that power with suppliers to get what we need. The other function you have with a Dr. Horton home is the fact that we have our own in-house warranty people that are local. So if there is an issue 6 months down the road, 7 months down the road, it's a local person you're dealing with, not somebody where you're talking to them out of state and trying to get things scheduled.
Now, can you talk to us a little bit? We met with Dr. Horton at Brightway. You guys and just kind of reiterate, can you talk about you guys aren't in a community.
Correct.
How do you, if I wanted to buy in Northport, and I know you do it in Cape Coral, and I think you do it at Lehigh as well, and Deep Creek, how do you do your spec lot? Like, explain that process to me, because you're not a community, you're not an HOA.
We refer to you as spot lots. You know, I know that's kind of
We refer to ourselves as spot lots, which means we're not here in Northport. We're not HOA, no CDDs, and we brag about that. So
why do you brag about it?
Well, because, for instance, the last house we closed on, the main reason he was here buying a spot lot is he has a pet chicken, and he was not.
No chickens. Go ahead. And I need you all to know that Alex is calling me, and I am panicking that there's something going on with my 50 chickens.
Yep, there you go.
So anyway, back to the pet chicken. Go ahead.
He had a chicken. There are HOAs around who most do not allow chickens or farm animals, so he's spot lot. As a general rule as well, in the spot lot, you're on a bigger lot. You know, if you go into the HOA communities, and again, they have their place, but you have common areas, and because you have the common areas, they allow you to move the houses closer together. Look at some people, that's their cup of tea. Other people, they want the 10,000 square foot lot. They want the potbelly pig or the chicken, or in my case, it would be my
pound dog.
Yeah, in my case, it would be my 12-year-old or 11-year-old son running around the backyard. So it's just up here in Northport, DR Horton offers that opportunity that if you don't want the HOA, we do provide the spot.
That's super nice.
I think we've answered this in a couple others, but I always want to ask it just for clarity purposes. You do not go buy your lot. It comes with DR Horton, and then it's built into the price when you have a
that is correct. When somebody comes through the door, or when we send our inventory sheet out, these houses, the lots have already been purchased. The permitting process has already been done and approved. The slab is usually poured, the walls are up, and the roof is on. Once the home is to that point, then it goes on to our inventory sheet.
Now, if I bought my own lot, can you put your home on it?
We don't. And
Okay.
the simple reason for that is the entire deeding it over to the builder, the permitting process, this happens, that happens. We just went through a period of time where during this period of time, all of a sudden the interest rates start to skyrocket, and then the poor buyer doesn't qualify anymore, and now you have a mess.
And speaking of that, do I go get a new construction loan with my customer? I mean, we know these answers, but these are questions we're going to be asked.
No, it would be a standard home mortgage, FHA, VA, or conventional.
Where can I get my lender?
You can come in with an outside lender. You can use DHI mortgage. Typically with DR Horton, as with any builder, if you look at the in-house mortgage, you're going to get some extra benefits that you will get if you use an outside lender. I encourage everybody, though, do the math with your realtor, and in the end, do what works best for you.
The other thing, so you were talking about extra advantages to work with a preferred lender.
Mm-hmm.
When we've talked to some builders, they offer something called incentives or flex dollars. And I know this went away during COVID, and it's kind of back. So if you've been looking in the last 2 years, you might not even be familiar with what they are. So can you explain that to us a little bit?
Sure. Currently, we offer closing cost incentives for using our in-house lender. We're offering a flex cash program. We have all sorts of incentives. And the thing about incentives, when it comes to, for instance, interest rate buy downs, they can come and go on a weekly basis. Right. Just depending on the interest rates, the availability of funds, this, that, and the other thing, and the inventory, how quickly things move.
So I know with closing costs, we haven't really touched on this too much, but something to think about as all the buyers are out there. Closing costs in Florida are different than closing costs in Texas, Missouri, wherever. So on a whole, I've always advised, and tell me if this is kind of what you advise too, on a new construction, you're looking at around 3.5–4% of the sales price, maybe a little bit ish, depending if you're in a community, not for that. So people understand, if you're looking at a $300,000 house, your closing costs roughly $12,000 to $13,000 outside of your down payment.
And you're spot on. What my rule of thumb is always, if you're in the 300,000 plan on 12 to 13. When you hit that 350, plan on 14 to 16. You hit over 400, plan on 16.5 to 17.5, 18.
And if you're not sure what a closing cost is, there's a lot that goes into it. And that's
Well, we're going to get some with lenders. We'll do some more like as we get in. We just basically talked about new construction loans, but we're going to do some in-depth lending, go over the closing docs, those types of things in another series.
Incentives are meant to be used for.
Yeah.
And it can be used for upgrades too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it can't, it varies.
It does.
By
And
builder.
I've always considered closing costs the hey, what fee. It's generally when you get to the point of closing and a lender surprises you with the, hey, we need $16,000 for this. The first word out of the buyer's mouth is what?
Hey, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's good to make sure we have all that. So, I mean, do you have any other questions? Or our very last question for you would be is, what haven't we asked that you feel is good advice, either specifically about Dr. Horton or to our clients who are thinking about building a new home in Florida, period. So what haven't we asked you, Steve?
The most important thing that I would recommend is understand that Dr. Horton is not going to lower the price of a house if somebody shows up without a realtor. Use your realtor, put them to work before you go out into the field. Sit with them, let them know what's important, let them know what's not important, let them know what the deal killers are. Get pre-qualified. Here's why. If you go out and fall in love with a house on Brody Road, I will promise you there's 3 other people that have fallen in love with that house as well. So while you're out getting pre-qual to see if you can fill out an application, somebody else is stepping forth and buying it. So in the end, trust your realtor. That's what they do.
Steve,
put them to work for you.
We didn't even pay you for that. Hey, you know what? I have 50 chickens coming. I can give you a couple.
I can always use the eggs, but it's important. It's really important. Because what happens is if you go out on a Saturday, you're visiting from out of town, what have you, you're thinking about going to the beach. And somewhere around showing number 4, 5, or 6, everybody in your party loses total interest and everything works together. If you simply know the old adage, it's better to sit and answer 500 questions and only go see 5 houses than it is only answer 5 questions and go see 500. Because what happens is you lose interest, you get frustrated, you're not seeing what you want. Do this all up front. And that way, when you come to us, it's very simple. They need this, they want that. They need it at this price. Well, here, go look at this one, this one, this one. And before you know it, you're under contract and you're sitting on the beach instead of scheduling more showings for tomorrow.
And the benefit of that is when we do our buyer consults, which we've talked about, we understand you and we kind of know, hey, we're going to call Steve and say, hey, Steve,
get what we can get.
This is kind of what we want for a backyard. This is kind of what we want for a front yard. And Steve also will help us narrow it down. And we're
Absolutely.
working together. It's a great mix.
Very good. So, well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank everybody for watching us. And make sure you check out our other builder series.
And we'll get chickens soon.
Yeah, we'll do some videos. I'm getting 50. Peace, love, and real estate.